God, Socrates, I don't know myself what I mean, but risk also having been long unaware myself in a most shameful condition.
But one should be confident, for if you had perceived this condition at age 50, it would be hard for you to take care of yourself. But now you are at the age at which it is necessary to perceive this.
So having perceived it, what should one do, Socrates?
Answer the questions asked, Alcibiades, and if you do this, God willing, if it is necessary for someone to trust also in my prophecy, you and I both shall become better.
These things shall be on account of my answering.
Come then, what is taking care of yourself? Often we may not be aware we are not taking care of ourselves, but thinking we are. And so when does a person do it? Is it when one is taking care of one's things? At that time, is one also taking care of oneself?
It seems so, to me at least.
But what? When does a person take care of feet? Is it when one is taking care of these things which belong to the feet?
I don't understand.
What do you call what belongs to a hand? Does a ring belong to any other part of a person than a finger?
Of course not.
Then also a sandal to a foot in the same manner.
Yes.
So then when we take care of sandals, at that time do we take care of feet?
I don't quite understand, Socrates.
But what, Alcibiades? Do you call something taking care of whatever business correct?
I do.
So what art makes sandals better?
Shoemaking.
Then by shoemaking do we take care of sandals?
Yes.
Also the foot by shoemaking? Or by that by which we make feet better?
By that.
And are not feet made better by that which also the rest of the body is?
It seems to me.
And is this not gymnastic?
Especially.
Then by gymnastic do we take care of feet, and by shoemaking of what belongs to the feet,
Certainly.
and by gymnastic of the hands, and by ring engraving of what belongs to the hand,
Yes.
and by gymnastic of the body, and by weaving in the others the things of the body.
Absolutely so.
Then by one art we take care of each thing itself, but by another of what belongs to the thing itself.
It appears so.
Then when you take care of what belongs to yourself, you are not taking care of yourself.
Not at all.
For the art is not the same, as likely, by which someone may take care of oneself and of one's things.
It appears not.
Come then, by what kind can we be taken care of ourselves?
I have nothing to say.
But has so much at least been admitted, that it is not the one by which we would make any of our belongings better, but by which we would make ourselves better?
You speak the truth.
So, should we ever have known what art makes a sandal better, not knowing a sandal?
Impossible.
Nor what art makes rings better, being ignorant of a ring?
True.
But what, then, would we ever know what art makes oneself better, being ignorant of what we are ourselves?
Impossible.
So then, does it really happen to be easy to know oneself? And was it some careless person who inscribed this in the temple at Delphi? Or is it something hard and not for everyone?
It often seemed to me, Socrates, to be for everyone, and often quite hard.
But Alcibiades, whether it is easy or not, nevertheless, for us, it has to be this way. Knowing this quickly, we would know the taking care of ourselves. But being ignorant, we never would.
This is so.
But come, in what way is a self itself discovered? For thus we may quickly discover whatever we are ourselves. But still, being in ignorance of this, it would be impossible.
You speak correctly.
So it holds toward God. With whom are you conversing now? What other than with me?
Yes.
Then also I with you.
Yes.
Then Socrates is the one conversing,
Certainly.
and Alcibiades the one listening.
Yes.
Then Socrates converses with speech,
Well,
and the conversing and the using speech you call the same thing.
certainly.
And the one using and what is used, are they not different?
How do you mean?
For example, a leather cutter cuts when cutting, with both a knife and with other tools.
Yes.
Then is the one cutting and using it one thing, and what is used in cutting another?
For how could it not be?
So then thus also what the harpist plays and the harpist himself would be different.
Yes.
Now this is just what I was asking, whether the one using and what is being used always seem to be different.
It seems so.
So what do we say of the leather cutter? Does he cut with tools alone, or also with hands?
Also with hands.
Then does he use these also?
Yes.
Is the leather cutter also using his eyes?
Yes.
And we agree the using and what is used are different.
Yes.
Then a leather cutter and a harpist are different from hands and eyes with which they work.
It is apparent.
Then also is a person using the whole body,
Certainly.
and the one using and what is being used are different.
Yes.
Then a person is different from one's own body.
It is likely.
So whatever is a person.
I have nothing to say.
So then you do have that at least it is the one using the body.
Yes.
So what else uses it than a soul?
Nothing else.
Therefore ruling.
Yes.
And here at least I think no one would be thinking otherwise.
What?
One of three things is what the person is.
What thing?
Soul, or body, or both together, the whole of this.
What then?
But did we not agree at least, this ruler of the body is the person?
We agreed.
So then does a body itself rule itself?
Not at all.
For we said it is ruled itself.
Yes.
Really, this could not be what we are seeking.
It is not likely.
But then do both together rule the body? And is this really a person?
Perhaps it is.
Least of all, for they are not ruling together when one or the other has no part in both together ruling.
Correct.
But since neither body nor both together is the person, it is left to, I think, either this is nothing, or if it is something, it turns out the person is nothing else than soul.
Exactly so.
So what is still needed for it to be more clearly demonstrated to you that the soul is the person?
By God, it seems to me it is sufficiently so.
And if not at least exactly, but it is moderately, it satisfies us. For we shall know exactly at that time when we have discovered what now we really passed over, because it involves much consideration.
What is this?
What was just somehow said, that first must be considered this self itself. But now, instead of the self itself, we have been considering what each thing is. And perhaps it will be satisfying, for we could not say anything is more lord over ourselves than the soul.
Of course not.
Then does it hold beautifully to name it thus? Me and you using arguments to converse with each other by the soul to the soul?
Quite so.
Then this was what we also said a little while earlier, that Socrates is conversing with Alcibiades using argument, not to your face, as likely, but making the arguments to Alcibiades, and this is the soul.
It seems to me.
Then the one assigning knowing self orders us to gain knowledge of the soul.
It is likely.
Then whoever knows what belongs to the body has known one's things, but not oneself.
This is so.
Then not one of the physicians knows oneself as a physician, nor any of the trainers as a trainer.
It is not likely.
Then the farmers and the other workers are very far from knowing themselves, for these don't even know their own things, as likely, but even more remote than their things, according to the arts which they have, for they know the things of the body with which it is served.
You speak the truth.
Then if it is sensible to know oneself, none of these are sensible in respect to the art.
None, it seems to me.
Because of this also, these arts really seem to be mechanical, and not achievements of a good man.
Quite so.
Then again, whoever serves a body serves one's own things, but does not serve oneself.
Could be.
And whoever serves money serves neither oneself nor one's own things, but what is even more remote from one's things.
It seems to me.
Then the money-maker does not even do one's own business.
Correct.
Then if someone has been a lover of Alcibiades' body, he is not in love with Alcibiades, but with something belonging to Alcibiades.
You speak the truth.
But your lover loves the soul.
It appears necessary from the argument.
Then the one loving your body, when the bloom ceases, going away, is he gone?
It appears so.
But the one loving the soul does not go away, as long as it is getting better.
It is likely.
Then I am the one who is not going away, but is remaining when the bloom of the body is ceasing, the others having departed.
You at least are doing well, Socrates, and you should not go away.
Then be eager to be most beautiful.
I shall be eager.
So this is how it is for you. Neither was there, as likely, nor is there a lover of Alcibiades, the son of Cleinias, except one alone, and this beloved, Socrates, the son of Sophroniscus and Phanerete.
True.
Then was it said, my coming to you, anticipated by a little, before your coming to me, wanting to inquire why I alone was not going away?
For that was so.
Then the reason for this was that I was the only lover of you, but the others were of what belongs to you, and the time of your things is ceasing, but you are beginning to bloom. And now, if you are not corrupted by the Athenian democracy and become shameful, I shall not forsake you. For I am especially afraid of this, that you might be corrupted by becoming a lover of popularity. For many good Athenians already have suffered this. For a good face is the democracy of heroic Erechtheus, but it is useful to see it stripped. So beware of the precaution which I mean.
What?
Exercise first, blessed one, and learn what achievements are necessary to enter the business of the state, and which are not, so that you might have a remedy and not suffer anything terrible.
You seem to me to speak well, Socrates, but try to explain in what manner we may be taking care of ourselves.
Then so much has been accomplished by us in advance, for what we are is pretty much agreed upon, and we were afraid tripping on this we might not notice we are taking care of something different, but not ourselves.
This is so.
And after this really it must be to take care of the soul and look into this,
Clearly.
and give over to others the taking care of bodies and money.
What then?
So in what way could we know this most distinctly, since knowing this, as likely, we shall also know ourselves? Then speaking well before God, are we not comprehending what we just now remembered of the Delphic inscription?
What kind of understanding do you mean, Socrates?
I will indicate to you what I suspect this inscription means and advises us. For chances are not in many places is there a model of this, but only in respect to sight.
How do you mean this?
You consider also, if to our eye, just as to a person in advising it said, see yourself, how should we take up what it recommends? Then would it not, looking into this, into what the eye is looking, intend to see itself?
Clearly.
What can we think of, looking into which we may see at the same time that and ourselves?
Clearly, Socrates, into mirrors and such things.
You speak correctly. Then also in the eye by which we see, is there in it some such thing?
Certainly.
So have you observed that the face of the one looking into the eye appears in the opposite eye as in a mirror, and we call it the pupil, which is a kind of image of the one looking?
You speak the truth.
Then an eye seeing an eye, and looking into this best part of it, and by which it sees, thus may see itself.
It appears so.
But if it should look into any other part of the person, or at any other thing, except into that by which this happens to be similar, it will not see itself.
You speak the truth.
Then if an eye intends to see itself, it must look into an eye by itself, and into that region of the eye in which the goodness of an eye is innate, and is this sight.
This is so.
So then, dear Alcibiades, if soul also intends to know herself, must she look into soul by herself, and especially into this region of her, in which the goodness of soul is innate, wisdom, and into anything else which happens to be similar to this?
It seems to me, Socrates.
So can we say, is there anything of the soul more divine than this, which is concerned with knowing and thinking?
We cannot.
Then this part of her is like the divine, and anyone looking into this also comes to know all the divine, and thus would especially know oneself.
It appears so.
And to know oneself, we agree, is to be sensible.
Certainly.
So then, not knowing ourselves, nor being sensible, are we able to know our own belongings, bad and good?
How could this be, Socrates?
For perhaps it appears to you impossible that, not knowing Alcibiades, it is possible to know that Alcibiades' belongings are Alcibiades,
Yet it is impossible, by God.
nor even that our belongings are ours, if we don't know ourselves.
For how could that be?
And then, if not our belongings, not the business of our belongings either.
It appears not.
So then we were not quite correct in just agreeing there are some who do not know themselves but know their belongings, while others know the business of their belongings. For it is likely all these are to be regarded as one and a single art, one's self, one's belongings, the business of one's belongings.
It could be.
And whoever is ignorant of one's own belongings would also be ignorant possibly of the business of others, according to this.
What then?
Then if of the business of others, one will also be ignorant of the business of the state.
By necessity.
Then such a man could never become a politician,
Of course not.
nor an economist either,
Of course not.
nor will one know what one is doing.
No.
And will not the one not knowing make mistakes?
Certainly.
And making mistakes will one do badly in private and in public?
How could one not?
And doing badly will one not be wretched?
Very.
And what of those for whom this one is doing so?
These also.
Then it is impossible, unless one is sensible and good, to be happy.
Impossible.
Then the bad people are wretched.
Very.
Then it is not the one who has become wealthy who is delivered from being most wretched, but the one who has become sensible.
It appears so.
Then it is not walls, nor triremes, nor shipyards the states need, Alcibiades, if they intend to be happy, nor numbers, nor size, without goodness.
Certainly not.
If you really intend to manage the business of the state correctly and beautifully, you must impart goodness to the citizens.
For how could that not be?
And could anyone impart something one does not have?
And how could one?
Then first you must gain goodness for yourself, and for anyone else who intends to rule and take care of oneself and one's belongings, not in private only, but also a state and the business of the state.
You speak the truth.
Then it is not power nor rule that you must provide for yourself to do what you want for you and the state, but justice and discretion.
It appears so.
For acting justly and sensibly, you and the state will be acting friendly to God.
It is likely.
And as we said in the previous argument, you will act looking into the divine and bright.
It appears so.
But looking at this, you will regard and know both yourselves and your own good.
Yes.
Then will you act correctly and well?
Yes.
But acting thus, I am willing to pledge that you will be happy.
For you are an unfailing pledge.
But acting unjustly, looking into the godless and the dark, then it is likely you will do acts similar to these, ignoring yourselves.
It is likely.
For if, dear Alcibiades, someone has the power to do what one wants, but does not have intelligence, what is likely to result, for an individual or also for a state? For example, being sick and having the power to run where one wants, not having medical intelligence, but dictating so that no one would chastise one, what would be the result? Would not, as likely, the body be ruined?
You speak the truth.
And what about in a ship? If one had the power to do what one thought, deprived of the intelligence and goodness of navigation, do you see what would result for him and his shipmates?
I do, that they would all perish.
Then in the same way in a state, and among all rulers and authorities lacking in goodness, does acting badly follow.
By necessity.
Then dictatorship is not useful, best Alcibiades, to be provided neither for oneself nor for the state, if one intends to be happy, but goodness is.
You speak the truth.
And until you have goodness, it is better to be ruled by a better than for a man to rule, not only for a child.
It appears so.
Then the better is more beautiful,
Yes.
and the more beautiful more fitting.
How could it not be?
Then it is fitting for a bad person to serve, for it is better.
Yes.
Then vice fits the servile,
It appears so.
and goodness fits the free.
Yes.
Then is it useful to avoid, comrade, the servile?
Especially, Socrates.
And now do you perceive how you are, fit to be free or not?
I seem to me also to be perceiving it very much.
So do you know how you might escape this state you are now in? Let us not put this name on a beautiful man.
I do.
How?
If you wish, Socrates.
You don't speak beautifully, Alcibiades.
But what is useful to say?
That if God wills.
I really mean it. And yet beyond this, I say that we shall be risking exchanging characteristics, Socrates. I yours, and you mine. For there is no way it cannot be that I shall attend you from this day on, and you shall be attended by me.
Noble one, then my love is not unlike a stork's, if along with you, having hatched the winged love, one is again served by this.
But it holds thus, and I shall begin from here to take care of justice.
I would like you also to continue, but I am shuddering, not from any mistrust of your nature, but from viewing the strength of the state, lest it prevail over both me and you.